Hello and welcome back to the Ghost of Alcantra. Maybe for the last time, depending on how long these bonus scenes are. These were added to the game later on during the Fall in Love festival and unlock while you're playing the main story. We've played all of that, so we have all 5 scenes unlocked. The devs apparently plan to add more to the game later on, which will also tie into their future project, so that's exciting. I'll try to keep an eye out for that. But for now, let's go through these in order, starting with Alexandria gives Warburton romantic advice. The scene takes place in an alternate version of 1987, where Alexandria's confinement isn't reinstated. Oh, fun. I should have worn a suit to look the part. You're giving advice to Warburton. What's the point of dressing up? Romance consultation is serious business, and to demonstrate my dedicated professionalism about the matter, I should have dressed accordingly. Oh please, Warburton just wants someone to confirm that he's being delusional. You or Terence could have informed him of that, but what I will offer is keen insight into why he's being delusional. You men only think about conclusions, I will illuminate the reasoning. And hey, maybe this girl is into him. I doubt it. I doubt it too, but my expertise about these sensitive matters should be put to use before we come to that conclusion. I was about to say, what expertise? You've been locked up. You don't have any experience about romance beyond me. A woman who has spent her entire life on an uninhabited island would know more about women than the average man. Fair. I have no doubt you and Terence offer horrific advice about romance, and that even with my own horrific background, could offer much more useful insight into the matter than you two can. Okay, that might be true, but did you have to say it? I admire your ability to handle the truth. Don't avert your eyes and ears, Nick. Men are eldritch evils with little knowledge of the world around them. You know you're dating an eldritch evil? I was biologically cursed at a young age. Heterosexuality is a cosmic horror. Wow. I don't know, you seem to be into it at times. Yes, well, I get lucky with you. Not everyone is so lucky. There are many cases of the biologically condemned having to nurse attraction for barbarians rather than beautiful women. Where's this coming from? Cut me some slack. The men in my life are my father and Blade. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Not our best representatives. And anyway, ranting aside, I meant to say that Warburton has made a wonderful decision asking for my assistance on his love life. Well, at least it might end up being an entertaining decision. Oh, she really is savage, I love it. Also spitting facts. We arrived at the edge of the waterfront park. I could see Terence and Warburton occupying some swings near the edge of the beach. Alexandria and I headed over, though I was a little nervous about the excited skip to her steps. She sometimes threw herself into stupidity with gusto. Hopefully she didn't call Warburton or Terence barbarians, at least not without having a good reason for doing so. Warburton rushed over when he noticed us. He clasped Alexandria's hand. Alexandria, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to discuss this matter with me. I am touched by your consideration and look forward to hearing your keen insight and wisdom. He had to use those words. Alexandria looked over at me smugly while Warburton shook her hand. Oh, don't worry. I'm more than happy to share my keen insight and wisdom. I rolled my eyes and pulled Warburton away. Can't you act normal, dude? Terence snorted and sidled over. When has he ever been normal? Never, but he could at least try. No, there's no reason to chastise him for his gentlemanly courtesy. But, Warburton, I'd recommend not acting like this with other girls, especially the one we're going to be talking about. It definitely could come off as being creepy.
Oh, I'd never even consider it. He was like this with Jennifer and Charlotte too. Hey man, I tried to warn you they were bad news.
Alexandria blushed but waved us towards the swings. We sat down while she paced with her hands behind her back, pretending to look in thought. As much as I'd like to discuss my predecessors and my superiority to them, I coughed, but Alexandria ignored me. I believe we've gathered here to discuss other matters. Warburton inhaled massively, but Terence interjected before Warburton could spew whatever nonsense he was currently inhaling.
Listen, I don't know the details and you don't have to tell me any of them, but didn't you grow up in an isolated environment? Would you know anything about high school dating life? Terence, you stupid fuck, would you mind your own business?
Yeah, Terence, you stupid fuck, mind your own business. True, I come from a lonely background. I was brought up on a farm in North Dakota.
That's the story of going with? Okay.
My mother died in childbirth. My father was a spiritual man, but a possessive tyrant who didn't let me out much. My brother was to inherit the farm, but he often fought with father. I hid in the barn a lot, which became my home. My brother was popular with suitors, so I'd observe him with his girlfriends from the cracks in the barn, so I know well the world of love and the world of pain and deception. Eventually, I grew tired of merely observing that world, and I fled here because I knew I had some apostolic relatives in the area.
She put a shushing gesture to her lips.
So, not a word, boys. I'm in the world where there's love, and I don't want my father and brother to know.
Jesus, what bullshit. Terence looked skeptical, but I could see a couple of tears trailing down Warburton's cheeks. Love does win, doesn't it?
It sure can.
You sure showed those fuck-ups back in North Dakota.
Alexandria winked at him. I sure did.
I need your wisdom more than ever, Alexandria. May I tell you about my recent encounter?
I would be delighted to help in whatever way I can.
Terence and I exchanged glances. We should tell her. Warburton falls in love easily. A branch could sway one way and he'd take it as a sign he's in love. So don't take him seriously, Alexandria. Though I don't think he takes it seriously either. He gets over it pretty easily. What kind of friends are you guys? Dude, how many times have we gone through this? Does that matter? I think a little.
Alexandria waved her hand dismissively. I don't care if Warburton falls in love twice a week. I will listen to whatever he has to say seriously and will provide him with my honest thoughts.
Bless you, Alexandria. Fuck you, Terence and Nick. It's still good information to have.
What's the name of the girl we'll be discussing?
Leah Illstrom.
Alexandria nodded in response. But let me ask you this, Warburton. Don't you have a crush on Jenny? And if so, why are we concerned with whether Leah Illstrom is into you?
My crush on Jenny is like how Lions fans pine for a Super Bowl. You pine for it knowing you can never have it. That makes perfect sense to me, but you're gonna need a different reference for Alexandria. That makes perfect sense to me, but you're gonna need a different reference for Alexandria. My crush on Jenny is like an astronaut longing for the moon. We've been to the moon, you dolt. My crush on Jenny is like a dolphin longing for land. What is it with you and dolphins? You can only live in the sea, and you will die on the land, even knowing how wonderful it could be. I admire Jenny because she is beautiful, athletic, confident, smart, and a great leader. Only an idiot wouldn't be in love with her. If she agreed to go out with me, I would have to drown myself out of shame for having brought her down to my level. It is best that I admire her from a distance. He thinks this is a reasonable position to hold.
No, I understand them perfectly.
I knew you'd get it.
There are those we must keep in our lives so that life remains beautiful, but we must keep them far enough away that we do not sully that beauty.
Exactly.
What kind of bullshit is that?
It's wisdom. It's something, all right.
You have assuaged my trepidations about the sincerity of your feelings, Warburton.
Use smaller words, Alexandria. We're idiots. I understood all of that.
No, you didn't.
I could sense the meaning behind her words.
Tell us about Leah, Warburton. What's the precise reason we're discussing her?
Actually, and I know this sounds crazy, but I think she might like me.
That is crazy unless she's blind. Hush, Terence. Warburton, forgive me for saying this, but guys can often come to poor conclusions about the affections of women. Do you have any evidence for thinking Leah likes you?
Believe me, Alexandria, I know it sounds wild because I'm small and chubby. Girls aren't into me usually. I'm well aware of this and don't have expectations normally, and I didn't even think we were flirting, but she gave me her number and told me to give her a call.
Are you sure you didn't hallucinate this? Has anyone checked to see if Leah Ilstrom is a real person? Warburton pulled a piece of paper out.
See? Got it right here.
It's probably fake.
You're probably fake.
Let me handle the comebacks for you next time.
Gladly.
Dude needs Nick's girlfriend to fight his battles. How sad. If you could please save the negative energy for after our discussion, please. Anyway, we'll take the phone number as a reason to think there's a basis for her interest. Warburton, could you walk us through the encounter with Leah?
Happy to. I was walking out of the high school and she comes running up to me, pointing at my shirt saying, "Is that an Alcantra basketball shirt? Are you on the team?" And I tell her, "It is, but I'm just the manager for the girls' team." Then she gets real excited and says, "Oh, I'm thinking of joining." Then I'm like...
Alexandria cut him off. Okay, firstly, she might have given you her number to talk about joining the team since you're the manager, but we'll discuss that later. More importantly, I need you to be more detailed about everything.
Detailed in what way?
What was the lighting? Was it day or night? What was her expression when she came up to you? Were you two alone? What did she do with her hands? What...
Jesus, does all of that stuff matter?
Absolutely. It's vital information I need to make a diagnosis.
I don't think he needs a diagnosis.
Yes, he does. Things change greatly depending on the details. You can tell a lot about how things are going to go from a first encounter. Like, was the wind howling and she had a wild look in her eyes with her hair blowing behind her, and that from a first glance you knew that you two were destined to be a part of a love-hate affair that spanned decades? And that while you two were going to hurt each other and you knew that the strength of your feelings would last far beyond the grave? Or was there a crowd of people, and you two somehow found each other in that crowd, and there was a hesitancy to your measured conversation, but that after a few terse exchanges you knew you were about to be intertwined in a ballad of wits on the social battlefield, and you parted knowing you would be acquaintances, then enemies, then allies, then lovers? Okay, those are just from books, and 1800 ones at that. Let's be real, you're just drawing your supposed wisdom from books. You don't know anything about high school dating. Oh, and do books from the 1800s not offer any insight about romance?
Dude, you can't just go after the books, she might kill you.
And even if that ridiculous insinuation had any merit to it, I do have first-hand experience with romance, and a romance that is more recent than anything you've been a part of.
She gestured at me.
Unless Nick doesn't count.
I guess I counted. To be honest, I had completely forgotten. How? Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. But nothing you described was like how you and Nick met. I laughed. Actually, not to brag, but it was pretty romantic.
It was not pretty romantic, it was very romantic. It was nighttime, with moonlight ambience, we were alone, there were fireworks, and it was more than just a meeting. It was a beginning. It was the sort of encounter you couldn't easily brush off. I knew we were going to be a part of each other's lives.
Yeah, it was pretty memorable.
Pretty?
Very. I looked over at Terence. So yeah, Alexandria is embellishing it a little, but there are aspects to some first encounters that could say a lot. Terence looked a little grumpy, while Alexandria nodded knowingly. Yeah, like whether it was day or night, I don't think that kind of stuff really matters, but she is not completely wrong.
So, with that in mind, let's go over the details, Warburton. What was the atmosphere like?
The, normal type, I guess.
That is not very descriptive. What time did you meet?
Middle of the afternoon.
The weather?
Sunny, the boring type, pretty average day.
Other people in the area?
A few. It was a meeting for Alcantra athletics.
So she came up to you because of your shirt?
Yeah, and then I told her I was the manager for the girls' basketball team, and she got real excited because she was interested in joining, and then we talked about basketball.
Details, Warburton, details.
Sorry, I don't remember much. It was like normal basketball talk.
Which entails?
Terence laughed. Really memorable encounter, huh? Hey man, it was stuff about scheduling, previous playing experience, our team members, stuff like that.
Okay, can you at least tell me about her?
Short and pretty. She was interested in playing shooting guard. Alexandria gestured for him to continue. Brown hair, I think? Alexandria slapped her forehead.
I need something to work with.
Well, she was real excited the whole time. Like, usually girls get pretty unexcited when talking to me.
For obvious reasons.
But she was real giddy and excited the whole time, and she even asked about me, which doesn't usually happen.
Was she just being polite?
Probably. Definitely.
What did she ask about?
First it was the basketball stuff, but then it was stuff about what classes I was taking. Alexandria snapped her fingers.
I can work with that. Do you share a class?
2 classes.
And it sounds like she's new to the area, otherwise she would have known you already.
Yeah, transfer student, moved here this summer.
Perfect, so she doesn't know about you.
Terence and I stifled a laugh.
Tell me about her giving you her number. I need you to be completely honest with me. Was it in the context of providing a means of communication about the basketball team?
Well, yes, but...
This but better be good, Warburton.
But get this, she said, and I remember this part completely clearly, call me so we can hang out. Yo, let's go.
Those exact words?
Those exact words.
And the tone of voice? Dig deep within that over-the-top sports-addled brain of yours. This is important.
definitely excited.
How pitchy?
What do you mean?
Was it higher pitched compared to the rest of the conversation?
I think so. It was an exclamation point sentence.
Alexandria nodded. Well, the pitchier the better. Do you remember her body language?
Nope.
Figures. Sadly, that tells you a lot. Without that, my diagnosis will have to be woefully inadequate.
Even your woefully inadequate diagnosis will be more robust than what Terence and I were going to tell him. Which was to forget it. She's just being friendly and polite to a guy she's going to be working with on the basketball team. Yeah, probably, to be honest. I don't think there's much there, dude. We are gathered to listen to Alexandria's assessment, not you losers.
Alexandria put a hand up. Please, let's not get combative about this. Anyway, Warburton, my assessment is mostly the same as Nick and Terence's in that I don't think there's much to say about her affections. Those can only be revealed through more interactions with her. Interactions you will surely have in the future. But there's something I'd rather comment on that we've been neglecting in this conversation, and that is the matter of your own feelings. I think Leah's feelings are irrelevant at this point, because I don't think you're interested. Or, more accurately, I don't think you're allowing yourself to be interested.
Great, now she's a psychologist. Hold up, let her rant. She might be onto something.
You first expressed your feelings of inadequacy compared to Jenny, feelings I completely understand. It's a wonder how Nick doesn't throw himself at my feet every time we meet.
Excuse me?
Kidding! But I do understand your feelings. Jenny is smart, pretty and athletic, and popular because of those characteristics. You, on the other hand, embrace your non-conventional attractiveness.
She's calling you ugly politely.
And your sense of humor reflects awareness of how you look and act. You have immersed yourself within a conception about yourself. You do not believe or even think it rational for other girls to like you.
She's using big words, but I think she's saying you have low self-esteem.
And Nick would know. You two are alike in that regard.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I'm a chubby jock, but I know there are girls who are into that. I doubt it. Would you shut up, Terence?
If you were interested in Leah, you would have remembered more than you did. The encounter, beyond getting a phone number, was not particularly memorable for you. I think I speak accurately for both Nick and I when I say this, but we remember many details about our first encounter.
I smiled. And the rest of them. Alexandria smiled back.
Right. When you like someone, things are different. The good kind of different. The memorable kind.
Maybe I just have a really bad memory?
Alexandria shrugged. That's possible, but I doubt it. You'd at least remember how she looked. Guys remember those sorts of things. Animals that they are.
We can agree on that at least.
Warburton was wearing his shades, but he looked kind of shook.
And all my other crushes?
They're frequent, right? I don't think they are crushes. Nick, you said you move...
That you shouldn't be there.
Nick said you move on easily. You're not falling in love. You're falling in love with the idea of falling in love. It's probably the same with Leah.
You mean I have high standards? I'm crushing on Jenny and now I think I'm too Hollywood for other girls?
He really is an idiot. No. I'm saying you're not interested probably because you don't consider the possibility of her being interested seriously. You gathered us to talk fully believing that there was no possibility she could like you. It's hard to fall in love if you don't ever think you have a real chance.
She gestured to his pocket.
Her giving you her number wasn't the only thing to consider. we should have talked about whether or not he even wanted to call it.
She smiled kindly at Warburton.
Let's be honest, you are short, you are a little chubby, you can be a little much to handle sometimes. And these are things that will make romance harder for you than for others, but you are certainly not unlovable. Believe me, I know worse guys, and even they had girls who liked them.
Warburton pulled out the phone number. Should I actually call it?
Only if you want to, and if you do, make it about basketball. I doubt she has romance on her mind, but she's a transfer student. She'll want friends, she'll want connections, and you can be an important one for her given your interest at basketball. After that, well, then you can talk with us to see if there's something about romance to discuss. It's only worth talking about if you're open to the idea.
Alexandria clapped her hands.
Practical advice. Call her if you want. Be a good guy. Don't be a creep. If she seems disinterested, leave her alone. If she brings up future hangouts, consider them. Let her talk about herself. When there's silence, you can talk about yourself.
She pointed at me.
Nick is an idiot, but he's a skilled conversationalist. He's good at knowing when to let others talk and when to talk about himself. Learn from him. I did, after all.
You did? Alexandria smiled once again.
Of course. I hid in a barn in North Dakota most of my life. I had plenty to say and no experience saying it. It feels like only yesterday I was awkwardly trying to deal with introductions to your friends, and now I'm preaching to them.
She turned to Warburton.
Love is not about the expectation of it, but the falling into it. As an ideal, it's useless. As an experience, it's unforgettable. Consider Leah and yourself not as an expectation, but as an experience. As friends, as basketball buddies, as classmates. And in the midst of that, perhaps something changes. Talk to us then, and then we can maybe talk about love.
I am your disciple.
She looked over at me. Want to join my followers?
I think being your boyfriend means I'm already one of them. Treasure her wisdom, Nick. She is a sage, and we are unknowing heathens. She just likes sounding smart, dude. She's not just smart, she's wise. I feel like I can see the world as it is now.
You just talk to boys too much. They aren't so good with feelings.
Feelings are hard. I don't think I have feelings.
Oh, I'm not so sure. Maybe you and Warburton are overthinking love, and it's been by you two all along.
Warburton and Terence looked at each other confused.
You two certainly act like two people in love.
Warburton let go of her hand and jumped back 3 body lengths. Terence's normally unexpressive face moved into the look of a man being tortured. Okay, maybe you're not so wise. I am beyond revolted. I have no words.
That's a little homophobic, don't you think?
That's not the issue. The issue is considering me and that large tank together. I would kill myself before I let that happen.
There is so much affection here, it's making me blush.
Alexandria looked over at me.
What do you think, Nick?
I think it'd be fucking funny.
It certainly would be amusingly ironic. Terence only ever seems to have emotions around Warburton, and Warburton seems happiest telling Terence to shut the fuck up. I understand perfectly well. I express my feelings similarly. Thankfully, Nick likes being berated.
Well, we've all got our shameful kinks. And Warburton is not one of mine. Alexandria, I am very grateful for all the wise words you shared this afternoon, but let's get this ridiculous idea out of our brains and forget it forever. Alexandria shrugged.
If you insist. But remember, love is about falling, not expecting. I can see a future where in college a little alcohol brings you and Terence together. Alcohol can bring out the wise in us sometimes.
I'm going to jump off a bridge. I'm going to jump in front of a semi-truck.
You two are so in sync. I'm a little envious.
Let's drop it for now so we don't bring about their lover's suicide.
True, as beautifully tragic as their united demise would be, I'd rather not be seen as an accomplice. It's bad optics.
She turned towards a mortified Terence and Warburton and made a phone gesture by her ears.
Give her a call, awash yourself with experiences and, well, consider the possibilities and all they may entail.
She winked at both of them before turning around laughing. I followed after her, while Warburton and Terence remained frozen in place. Winter had arrived early this year for them. Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh, she's hilarious. Romantic insinuations about Warburton and Terence aside, you are pretty wise. I guess you did learn a lot from those books.
As I said, even the most isolated woman knows more women than the average man.
That conversation was hardly about women, though.
Same idea.
I don't think it is, but point taken. We need to discuss our feelings with each other more often, or at least with you.
Yes, you do.
She turned her head around.
And maybe they can discuss theirs with each other.
I laughed. Like I said, fucking funny. Indeed. Okay, Alexandria Ship said, sure. Ah, that was nice, okay. So, from that friend group we're going on a first date with Scarlett. The sophomore and junior years of college have to be the worst. As a freshman, you come into college with unrealistic expectations and naive dreams. As a senior, you know it's almost over and you stop caring about your grades. But those middle 2 years are a damn slog through the mud, especially as an engineering major, because not only are the classes difficult, you have to take them with other engineering majors, and frankly, 4 years is a long time to have to socialize with those dudes. So finishing my junior year by working on a group project with Scarlett Storm was a breath of fresh air, mostly because I didn't have to put up with unhygienic smells anymore.
Ew.
Still, I wasn't enamored with her like the rest of my classmates were. My violent and stormy emotional responses to Alexandria's death were mostly gone, but I replaced them with empty complacency. I made emotional stagnancy a part of my daily routine. Every morning I made sure an imaginative weight was hefted onto my chest before I set out to withstand another day of tiresome tediousness. I liked Scarlett, but I liked her in the way you're glad when someone doesn't sit next to you on the bus. I didn't like her for what she brought to my life, but for what she prevented. I saw Scarlett as someone who made an irritating part of life a little less irritating, and nothing more. I figured she saw me the same way and that she only liked working with me because I didn't slobber all over her like the other engineering majors did, and that when the semester was over, we weren't going to associate with each other outside of casual greetings on campus. But I was wrong, because when I walked out of the dynamics exam, Scarlett was there waiting for me, a pair of tickets in hand. She forcefully thrust the ticket into my hand. It was for a Bonnie Tyler concert next week that was going to be on our campus. Why they scheduled a concert after the students left for break was beyond me, but engineers were never known for their planning skills. You should take a day out of your busy schedule being a robotic clod and come to this with me. Glad she could ask so nicely. Don't you have other people you'd rather go with?
What a dick thing to say. Of course I do, but I'm padding my resume with charity work.
I don't think you're gonna have any trouble getting a good job.
Aren't you tired of spending your life looking bored and making sarcastic wisecracks?
No.
Well, you should be. I'm getting tired of seeing your mopey bum ass self.
The project is over. You can be done looking at my mopey bum ass self.
Unlike you, I'm a problem solver. There's gotta be something wrong with someone who is so content with being yelled at by me for a semester.
I think a lot of dudes are into that.
Oh come on, you're just so obviously depressed. You always drink at least 4 coffees before noon, you show zero reaction to bad grades, and you just lazily nod your head when a hottie scolds you. I don't know what's up with you, but crying your heart out to Total Eclipse of the Heart will do you some good.
I scoffed. You really do think I'm a charity case to work on, don't you? You want me to grovel at your feet while listening to I Need a Hero?
She smirked. Yeah, that'd be a good time. And you owe me a good time for the A on the project. Try letting someone be nice to you, will ya?
Being nice? Is that what she was calling this? I sighed. Sure, I'll go with you. You've got to watch out for those girls in STEM fields with perfect GPAs. They have a tendency to have savior complexes. I don't get why it's not like having a sad acquaintance is going on their report card, but I guess they didn't see it that way. Still, a Bonnie Tyler concert couldn't be anything but a good time. Scarlett sung her heart out the whole time, and I even had to smile when she mockingly leaned in to me during the concert to sing. Once upon a time there was light in my life, but now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart. Watching Bonnie Tyler passionately sing that made me realize how artificial the supposed uniqueness of individuality was. Nothing I felt was original. Grief was everywhere. Loss was intrinsically tied to love. From the caveman to the robots, we were going to be singing about these sorts of feelings. I could only pretend to be alone. I watched people dance around, blaze up, blaze down, get hammered, get sobered, and between that and listening to Scarlett and Bonnie sing, I felt the slightest of twangs in my heart that I hadn't felt in a long time. I couldn't tell what sort of twang it was. Melancholy and contentness can be pretty similar. I laughed at something Scarlett said as we were walking out of the concert, and she followed up with, "See, I knew you could do that." Well, I didn't. Still, knowing how universal painful feelings were didn't mean they didn't hurt. When I slid across from Scarlett at a bar after the concert, I saw her again, and I was back in the summer of 1987, and Alexandria was drinking coffee across from me. The sun was out, and I wasn't remembering the past, but forgetting the present. Then I blinked, and she was gone, and her shadow rests over my heart. Nothing I can say. A total eclipse of the heart. What do you want to drink? It's on me. It took me a while to respond. I'll have some bourbon. Good call. She put in the order, then tilted her head quizzically, noticing my expression. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. You sure? More sure than usual, just not used to feeling things. She laughed. Such a guy thing to say. You want to talk about it? Not really. Also a very guy thing to say. I shrugged and then pointed at myself. Guy. A waiter brought over our drinks. It took me a while to like whiskey, but once I did, it was hard to go back. So, no plans for the summer, besides looking tired and mopey? Not really. You got another internship lined up? Nah, I've already done 2. I'm relaxing this summer. Relaxing? That doesn't sound like you. Well, I know it's good for me, unlike some present company. You do an internship yet? Nope. You really think you're going to get a job without one? Probably not. There are worse fates. Not like getting an engineering position is a dream come true. Yeah, it is. Okay, it isn't a dream come true for us non-psychopaths.
Why are you in engineering then?
Because it makes money.
What a stupid ass reason.
It's as good a reason as any. Money's important.
Not important enough for you to look like you give a shit about anything, apparently.
I'd probably look even worse without money. She thought about that while taking a sip of her bourbon.
Fair enough.
She put on her drink.
So, you're gonna be in the area this summer?
I always am.
Well, what a coincidence. So am I.
Don't you live downstate? You're not going home?
I hear the summers are great here.
They are, at least the little summer we get.
So I figured I'd experience Alcantra in a season that isn't the awful winter and the mirage they call spring here.
I crossed my arms, knowing what was coming. You'd think one project with me would scare you off.
You see the people in our department?
Yeah, you're brave being a woman deciding to go into engineering. What did Derek say to you to make you kick him in the balls?
Oh my god, Nick, I'm trying to forget he exists. He was hitting on me in that pathetic nerd attempt to be polite while also coming off as being completely condescending. When I told him that I didn't want his virgin ass anywhere near me, he winked and told me he was a fast learner.
Okay, that deserves a ball kicking.
And all my friends but Kenzie are gone for the summer, and Kenzie is taking summer classes, so she'll be pretty busy.
So just be lonely and bored. You get used to it.
I think you're a little too used to it.
Maybe. It beats having to talk with Derek.
Well, I'm used to having a bit of a social life, so it's either be bored most of the summer waiting for Kenzie to have free time, or make a new friend.
She smiled.
And I'd prefer your meek patheticness over the rest of our know-it-all department.
Not sure calling someone meek and pathetic is a good way to get them to hang out with you.
Oh, I know you're the type who loves that. Your self-esteem is through the fucking floor, Nick.
I hated that I was so obvious. I sighed. Look, I know you have a stellar moral compass and like helping people, but listen, you don't have to try and fix me just because I look like a bum-ass or whatever you think about me.
Admitting there's something to fix? And I'm not doing anything of the sort. You are a bum-ass and that's none of my business. I'm just saying we should hang out. Look, there's not many options for me and you're not gonna find anyone cooler than me. Sounds like a good deal for both of us.
I knew that. I took a moody sip of my drink. I think whiskey tastes better alone. It's a sad person's drink. I called over the waiter and asked for a shot of tequila. Fine then, sure.
You sound so excited.
I'm not sure I have it in me to sound excited. One moment.
Noisy city is noisy. That's for sure. You talk like you just found out your childhood pet just died.
She was on the right track. No offense, but it's kind of weird to want to hang out with a jerk.
At least you're self-aware.
It's the least I can do.
But you're just a wannabe dick. The guys in our department are real dicks. They sound nice, but don't actually have much respect for me. You're the opposite, just like me. I call you a bum out of the kindness in my heart.
Seems a little contradictory. Hey, I'm just saying that you could stand to smile a little more. Probably.
See, so hanging out will be good for both of us.
The waiter brought over my tequila, which I slammed in one big gulp.
Impressive.
I'm a professional loser. We're good at drinking.
I don't think that's something to brag about.
Almost certainly not. I smiled at her. So, you win. You've got my contact info. Reach out whenever.
Oh, don't get carried away, Nick. This isn't a whenever thing. This is just when Kenzie isn't available.
I'll take it.
Of course you will. It's me.
She laughed at me, making a face.
Congratulations, Nick. Despite your best efforts, you just made a friend.
I smiled. Once upon a time, there was light in my life, and now there's still a little light here. Nothing I can say. A partial eclipse of the heart. Oh, cute. But interesting that it was her reaching out even in that tone of hers. But I guess, in a way, Nick has a type, yeah? Oh, okay. Next one.
Would you love me if I was a worm? The scene takes place in an alternate version of 1997 where Alexandria's confinement isn't reinstated. Oh. I felt a chill run through my body as I sat down on the bench next to Alexandria, because behind her seemingly pleasant expression I could sense something sinister. Her green eyes were twinkling with malicious intent. I swallowed nervously.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
Fantastic. That did not bode well for me. I was screwed. Oh, I'm doing all right.
Something up? You look nervous.
Nervous? Me? No, I'm just wondering why you look so pouncy.
Pouncy?
You know, like I'm prey. My rodent instincts kicked in for some reason when I sat next to you.
You sure you're not projecting right now? I don't know why a nice girl smiling innocently would stare your flight response.
Innocent my ass, you're plotting something.
How hurtful. Here I am, patiently waiting to ask my boyfriend a benign inquiry, and I get accused of plotting.
See, I knew something was up. Benign inquiry. As if.
Oh, please. I haven't even asked you the question yet. I assure you that my ruminations are completely unimportant, and I want to discuss them purely out of intellectual curiosity.
I hate everything about how you phrased that. She laughed.
Okay. I want to ask you a question, and it's a stupid question, but it'll be funny to hear you answer it.
I narrowed my eyes suspiciously. No ulterior motives?
None. I promise you, Nick. I just want to laugh at you.
I relaxed. Well, that's par for the course.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead then. But I let my guard down too early.
Nick, would you love me if I was a worm?
The world stopped and the sun froze. The grass wilted and the waves died. I heard 1,000 boyfriends scream in terror and 1,000 girlfriends cackle menacingly. Hope left me to fight alone on the battlefield. I looked at Alexandria's smile and saw my funeral. Excuse me?
Would you love me if I was a worm?
Who put you up to this? Warburton? Jenny?
Is that relevant?
Fuck yes, it's relevant, because I'm going to kill whoever put this sick thought into your head.
I am not exposing who introduced me to this interesting romantic dilemma, so you can stop stalling and answer the question.
It's Warburton for sure. He's so fucking dead.
Mr. Fox, enough stalling. Answer the question.
Is this a test?
No.
I don't believe that.
Then why'd you ask?
Fear and despair? A bead of sweat trickled down the back of my neck. May I ask a few questions to better understand the situation?
Alexandria raised an eyebrow. You may.
In this hypothetical scenario, are we assuming that you as you are now gets turned into a worm, or that the essence of Alexandria was born as a worm?
Let's say that an evil sorceress turns me into a worm in front of your eyes.
Would you still be able to talk to me?
Worms can't speak to humans.
Humans also can't be turned into worms.
Fair enough. Let's assume that when I get turned into the worm, that I can't talk to you anymore.
Will you still think like Alexandria?
Why would that matter?
Damn it, strike one. Another bead of sweat manifested. So, to reiterate, you're asking if I would still love you if an evil sorceress turned you into a worm before my eyes, and that I don't know anything about what your worm life is like.
Yeah, something like that. So, would you still love Alexandria Thorne the worm?
I thought about it some, and then puffed up my chest in a grandiose manner. Absolutely. She smiled.
That's sweet. And why would you love the me who is a worm?
Because I love you now, and if you turned into a worm right now, my feelings wouldn't change.
They wouldn't?
Of course not.
You know, worms are kind of slimy and gross.
Maybe so, but I'd love you nonetheless, even if you were the slimiest worm. Even if I didn't know whether there was any trace of Alexandria Thorne within that slimy worm.
You mean you'd miss me, right? 'Cause Alexandria Thorne would be gone.
What do you mean, gone? You just turned into a worm. You wouldn't be gone, you'd just be a worm. I don't know the beauty standards of worms, but you'd probably be a beautiful worm.
Thanks.
But you might be right. The Alexandria Thorne I knew would be gone. When the sorceress turns you into a worm, I'll weep. I'll weep like I've never wept before. But then I'd see you, a worm, and it's enough for me that it might still be you. I'd take you into my hands and I'll whisper, I love you, to that bug thing, in hopes that you understand me.
You alright?
Of course I'm alright. I'm in love. Anyway, I'd take you because I'll believe that worm is you until the end of my days, and I'll put you into the most lavish worm home available, with luscious moist dirt and plenty of spinach leaves for you to chew on. When I wake up, I'll say good morning to you, and you won't respond because you're a worm and worms can't speak English, but I'll imagine your response and my day will start with a smile. And as the day goes by, I'll think about you, my favorite worm in the world, and I'll wonder how you're doing, and I'll hope you're enjoying your life as a worm. Time will pass, and people will tell me to give up on you, and I won't because they don't understand what it means to be in love, to feel this way, and then we'll get married.
We'll what?
We'll get married, but we probably won't be allowed to be legally married, because a guy can't marry a worm in the sick society we live in, but that doesn't stop us because we're in love and the law doesn't mean anything in regard to our feelings. And we'll have a little ceremony and none of our friends and family come because they're weirded out and they don't get it, but it doesn't matter that they don't get it. Then I stand at the altar with you and we exchange our vows, though you can't hear mine because you're a worm, and I can't hear yours because you're a worm. Then I give you a little kiss, a real gentle one so I don't hurt you. And then we're husband and worm. Then we live the rest of our days together. Wait, how long do worms live?
Like 5-ish years? Maybe a couple years more.
Damn, that's not much time together at all. But for those years you're alive, we'll spend them together, and I'll love every minute I have with you. Then you pass away after 7 years of marriage, and I'm heartbroken. Widowed in my 30s, but I'm still in love with you, and I'll be in love with you until the day I die, until the sun gets devoured by a giant worm. And when you die, I'll take your little worm corpse and bury it in my backyard, and I'll buy you a really nice gravestone. I'll leave flowers at the gravestone every year, and my friends tell me to try and meet someone new, which I don't, because I'm in love with you, even when you're a decaying dead worm. And the rest of my days pass by, and I can't wait until I'm reunited with you. And as the end approaches for me, I stipulate that I want to be buried next to you, so that we can decay together and be eaten by other worms, and we'll be a part of the most romantic, cannibalistic affairs to ever be. So yes, Alexandria, I would love you if you were a worm. I didn't realize that in my worm-thinking frenzy that I had stood up. I sat back down and looked at Alexandria. I was wearing a big smile, but she strangely seemed to be looking rather concerned. Is something the matter?
Nick, please don't love me if I was a worm.
What?
Did you hear yourself?
Not really, I got kind of lost in the rant.
Well, you said you'd marry a worm, then kiss it, then live with it, bury it, then get buried with it when you die.
No, I said I'd marry you, Alexandria Thorne, then kiss you, Alexandria Thorne, then bury Alexandria Thorne and get buried with Alexandria Thorne.
Alexandria Thorne, who is a worm.
Like that matters?
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. Love is love.
She mimicked me, mockingly. Love is love.
She gestured to herself.
You love me like this, right?
Yes, but I'd love you small, slimy, and whatever else worms are too.
God, please don't.
You mean you wouldn't love me as a worm?
No.
I was surprisingly hurt by that. And why not?
I love you because you're kind, cute, considerate, and make me laugh, and those reasons don't apply when you're a worm.
And that matters to you?
Yes, it does.
I shook my head sadly. I can't believe you're so cold. Thank God I'm not a worm.
Yes, thank God you're not a worm, and if you were a worm, I'd put you in some dirt where you'd be happy.
Even if the sorceress turned me into a worm in front of you?
I'd try to get her to turn you back, but if I couldn't, I'd keep you in a setup like you described.
See, I knew you felt the same way.
But I am not marrying, kissing, nor falling in love with that worm.
And love dies.
Love does not die. Love lives because I still love Nick Fox.
Who is a worm?
Okay, Nick Fox is a worm and I still love Nick Fox, but Jesus, Nick, when I say that I still love Nick Fox, I really mean that I miss him a lot. You're gone when you're a worm. You're in love with the past when you say that you're in love with a worm, Nick.
So be it. If the past and all that it meant and means to me is contained in that little worm, I will love that worm with every fiber of my being. She looked at me incredulously, and for long enough that I got a little self-conscious about what I had said. Alright, maybe I don't kiss the worm, but you know, the rest, I kind of mean that.
Nick, how long have we known each other?
A couple of months.
Right, so if this person you knew for a couple of months got turned into a worm, you'd hold onto your feelings for the rest of your life?
Yeah, probably. I guess so. Just turns out like that sometimes. She rolled her eyes. If it's a couple of months, then it's not the 1997 alternate reality, is it? Just saying.
I hope for your sake that I don't get turned into a worm.
I mean, I do too, but like, putting aside the questionable things I did with the worm.
Please rephrase that, Nick.
Sorry, putting aside all the crazy things I did with the worm.
Nick.
Sorry, putting aside the crazy things I said about you being a worm, is it that weird to have a small amount of time mean enough that you want those feelings to stick with you for the rest of your life? She thought about it.
It's certainly a little crazy.
But then she smiled at me, and this time no chills ran through my body.
But it is a little sweet, I guess.
See, I knew you'd come around. So you'd love me if I was a worm? She sighed. I guess. That's beautiful, Alexandria. Thank you.
I think we both need to kill Warbird next time we see him.
I knew that chubby snake was behind this. He tried to turn you against me as a joke, but thankfully our love prevailed.
I did learn that you're crazier than I thought, but it's nice to know that I'll be loved, even as a worm.
Then that foreboding twinkle returned to her eyes.
Say, you know where the nearest bait shop is?
About a mile down the road. Why?
I think I'd like to see you kiss a worm.
Please don't. Wow, that whole rant Nick went on there. Amazing. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about that timeline there. It said 1997 and like the visual for Alexandria was of her grown up. But then how do they only know each other for a few months? I don't think that's... I think something was mixed up there, right? Or it's an alternate reality where things happen in 1997?
Oh well, next we're going to meet someone we have only met a name before, I think. Charlotte.
The scene takes place in an alternate version of 1997 where Alexandria's confinement isn't reinstated.
So, why don't we talk about Charlotte? You don't have to tell me anything. You don't have to tell me anything. I was just wondering if this was a real thing or if it's an inside joke.
We don't talk about Charlotte because she brings back bad memories. To me, she is the embodiment of all the evils in the world. She turns water into bleach, soup into mud, bread into bark, and hope into despair.
So, was she actually a witch, or are you just being dramatic?
Of course I'm being dramatic, but only a little. Jennifer was a normal bad relationship. It was a couple months of lukewarm feelings and wasting time. Charlotte was only 2 weeks, but 2 weeks of hell. It's a testament to how great you are that I was willing to try being with someone again.
So, you'd rather we drop the subject? If she was hell, we don't have to talk about it. I was just curious.
I sipped my coffee, which no longer had any flavor. Even the mention of her name could siphon the joy out of life. Alexandria, I was broken.
Huh?
And you fixed me.
I'm not sure I did.
I thought Charlotte had broken me forever and that I'd be unable to love again, but then your angelicness descended into my life.
Nice try, mister, but I know Jennifer was after Charlotte and before me.
Yeah, and look how that turned out. I laughed. I can tell you about Charlotte as long as you promise to never, ever be anything like her. We can let my trauma serve as a cautionary tale for the both of us.
I promise. Probably.
I took another sip of my flavorless coffee. What does your coffee taste like?
She took a confused sip. Like coffee? Were you looking for an eloquent dissection of what coffee tastes like?
No, I just want you to savor that taste. It may be gone after you hear the horrors of Charlotte.
There is no way she was that bad, and if she was so bad that she can perform alchemical miracles, then I need to become her apprentice immediately.
If you become a Charlotte sympathizer, I will join a monastery.
Sadly, I think you'd be pretty unattractive without hair.
Good.
And you're not religious.
I think I'd need God after that anyway. She laughed.
So, let's hear it.
Oh boy. I crossed my legs and cupped my hands like I was recounting a war story. Charlotte and I dated in the January of our freshman year of high school. We already knew each other from elementary and middle school. I just knew her as a sort of weird girl who really liked astrology and wore pigtails.
Astrology isn't so bad.
I'm just setting the backstory. Anyhow, we had talked to each other over the years, but we weren't close or anything, just classmates. But on a random Wednesday, the week after coming back to school after winter break, she comes up to me in study hall and tells me I dreamt that we are both peasant lovers in the dark ages. She then went back to her seat like normal.
God, I hope you didn't become interested just because of that.
No, of course not. Actually, I was never interested in her, which was part of the mistake. But let me explain. So the next day, she comes up to me at lunch with a massive 3-tier cake. She says it's for me and then walks off without a word. It was delicious, though I couldn't possibly eat this massive cake by myself, so I shared it with everyone at the lunch table. I went to thank her after school, but she wasn't there.
Was the cake poisoned?
I hate how you think, and no. The next day, when I arrive at school, she's waiting by my locker, bawling her eyes out, crying about how I betrayed her by sharing the cake she had made for me. She got me to promise that I'd make it up to her.
And you agreed?
In my defense, she was crying really loudly.
You are an imbecile beyond comprehension.
And in your defense, literally every girl in school told me to run the fuck away from the situation because she had targeted me for some reason.
For some reason? It's because she thought you two were reincarnated past lovers or something.
Okay, I was an idiot, but would you let me finish the story?
Sure, go ahead. I'm gonna have material for decades.
So I spent the next couple of days making it up to her by talking to her at lunch and in between classes, where she'd basically tell me about every problem in her life, which ranged from legitimate family issues to thinking that teachers were giving her bad grades because they disliked her hair. Things start going fine after that. Like, it was a little annoying to only be a person to vent to, but she was at least pretty normal and fairly sweet. She'd keep baking stuff for me.
I am very disappointed in you.
I was 14, lay off. Anyway, we keep talking for a week, and by talk, I mean talk about her problems, but then she gives me a phone call at 1 in the morning one night. And I kid you not, these were her exact words, and I doubt I'll ever forget them. Nick, I've considered all the futures and I can't imagine one without you. I see you in the clouds and I soar. I see you in the water and I'm submerged. I see you in the forests and I'm embraced. I hear your voice when I'm awake. I hear your voice when I'm asleep. You are my past, my present, and I long for you to be my future. Will you go out with me? I promise I'll keep baking cakes.
I have so much to say. First, she confessed over the phone. Secondly, that's what she said. Please don't tell me you said yes.
What else was I supposed to say? I was 14 and it was 1 in the morning. I wasn't thinking straight.
I would have moved to another country.
Well, I didn't. So we started dating. First day was fine, besides her being ridiculously clingy, held my arm every moment we were together and gave me ridiculous pet names.
I don't want to hear them.
Good, neither do I. She then starts calling me multiple times at night, alternating crying about something or telling me some funny thought that entered her head. The first night I was like, whatever. But then she does it another night and my parents start yelling at me because it's getting annoying hearing the phone ring 5 to 6 times a night, so I pull the phone line. The next day she's mad, like throwing things mad. She tells me that I need to be there for her and that she's counting on me.
You are so easily swayed.
Always been a weakness of mine. So I let her badger me the next night and I talk to her about whatever thought is in her head, and she's always telling me how much she needs me. But I get tired of doing this every night, so I pull the phone cord again to be able to sleep, and because Dad was going to kill me if he got woken up one more time.
And I'm guessing she didn't like that?
That's one way to put it. She's not at school the next day, but leaves me a note saying to see her at the park nearby after school. So I go there and she's holding a fucking pair of scissors, saying I need to be there for her or these scissors are going to end up in someone, and she's snipping with the scissors the whole time.
My goodness, that escalated.
I managed to talk her down, but I tell her I can't do this, and she responds by throwing herself at my feet, saying she's serious and that she can't do life without help and that she needs me.
You at least told someone, right?
I was afraid she was going to kill someone.
My god, you're an idiot.
We're fine after that, and she's sort of normal besides the PDA. But then she gets upset when I hang out with my friends after school instead of her, but she doesn't tell me. She starts leaving Warburton and Terrence nasty notes. She didn't sign any of them, but everyone could tell they were from her. I brought it up, and she vehemently denied they were from her.
So you broke up with her, right?
Not yet.
What does she need to do? Set you on fire?
I'm getting there.
Getting there?
She stops sending the notes, but then she shows up at my house at 3 in the morning. Even my mom, and you know what she's like, was like, Nick, this girl is fucking crazy. I tell Charlotte just this night she can stay here, and she seems totally normal, and I'm wondering if she's running from a real bad home situation. And then the cops show up. She had run off with her dad's medication and wanted to try taking them. And I mean, that dude was on the whole pharmacy. Before she leaves, I tell her that if there's one more instance like this, I don't care what happens, I'm breaking up with her. She assures me that nothing is going to happen and that she knows we'll get through anything. I don't believe her at this point, but I'm true to my word, and I'm just preparing myself for the consequences of the breakup.
Okay, finally some character development on your part.
The next day, she's not at school, understandably, but she left me a message in my locker. This time, it's not a note. It's a fucking manifesto detailing that she keeps dreaming about her past lives and that she's seen visions of her future lives and how we're destined to be together. It filled up like half a notebook. I flushed the thing away. At this point, I'm just waiting for her to do something so I can keep my promise and break up with her.
I can't believe you didn't keep the documents for posterity. I would have loved to read this manifesto.
I was too traumatized by that point. The next couple of days, all she does is give me a couple of calls. And she's sweet in them. So sweet. I start to think something's changed. Maybe she got the meds she needed. But she was just giving me hope to take it away. On day 12, she leaves a garbage bag full of random shit at my house. I can't remember everything, but there was a pen, a branch, a fucking copper arrow, with detailed explanations about how they were gifts from me in our previous lives. I was like, fine, she's delusional, but I can handle this.
Because you're an idiot.
Because I'm an idiot. But she crosses the line on day 13. When I come home from school, my parents are waiting for me because there is a pig carcass on our front porch. Wow. Like an adult pig? Because those are huge.
A what?
A hollowed out pig carcass with a bow on top and a card next to it that says, "This is anyone who gets between us. Hard."
I gotta admit that's pretty metal.
Well, it was the last straw for me. My parents wanted to call the police, and I told them they could, but only after they drive me to a place. I ring the doorbell, and when she answers, I throw her pig carcass back at her and tell her that I'm the pig who's getting in between us and that we're done and that I want nothing to do with her for the rest of my life. And I'd rather become that hollowed-out pig than spend another moment as her boyfriend, and that if she stabs someone, that's none of my damn business. I can't remember what her expression was, because I fled like a coward back to the car and told my parents we need to call the police and be placed in witness protection.
Obviously she didn't gut you like a pig.
No, and she didn't try to stab anyone else either, but she did set the stuff in my gym locker on fire. Alexandria burst out laughing, and even I cracked a smile.
Why the gym locker and not your normal one? And why just a locker?
I have no idea how Charlotte's brain works. But yeah, I returned from PE and she was holding a lighter to my clothes that she had poured gas on. I just turned around, pulled the fire alarm and walked out while she committed arson. She got expelled, though she's still in the area. I hear she works as a cashier at Macy's. Seems fairly normal now. Guess she got the help she needed, or I just have that effect on women. I downed the rest of my flavorless coffee. And that's why we don't talk about Charlotte.
I don't see why not. It's such a great story. I tell it to everyone I know in hopes that it becomes a major motion picture.
I couldn't see the movie. Too traumatizing. I can't even hear the name Charlotte without hearing phones ringing and fire alarms. And then my second girlfriend was Jennifer, who cheated on me. So, you saved me, Alexandria. If the third time hadn't been the charm, who knows how I would have ended up.
It's a little disappointing to hear that I might be a most normal relationship.
The bar's on the floor for that.
True, but we've got our own barriers.
Yeah, but for the first time in my life, I know someone who is worth dealing with the barriers.
Alexandria smiled. Yes, let's take one positive from this retelling, which is that it has allowed us an opportunity to be grateful for what we have. It could be much worse.
Don't think it can be much better, to be honest.
Pretty smooth for a guy recovering from his war story.
I've got to make up for all the idiocy of my past.
No, your idiocy is endearing now. Stupidity can be wholesome when it's not in relation to someone like Charlotte.
I'll pretend that's a compliment.
It means you have an enduring spirit.
She laughed and pushed her coffee towards me.
Here, surely it'll have flavor now that we're moving past Charlotte.
I'm sure it will. Thank God you are not Charlotte.
You think you'll become my Charlotte?
Let's not put that negative idea into the world.
You think I'll become your new Charlotte?
Never. You'll at least be worth being broken over.
That's a sweet thing to say.
I took a sip of the coffee, and it was some damn good coffee. Okay, that story was a lot wilder than I could have imagined. Wow, what a menace. And at what, 14? Like, kids younger than that can be crazy, but then again, teenagers. Yeah, when like your brain is rewiring, it can be pretty crazy, I guess. Okay, last one for now. Uncle Kyle goes on a date. A young and naive me once questioned if old people fell in love. Now, as an older but still fairly young and naive young me, I look back on that previous Nick Fox and say, hold on, I was kind of right. Old people stayed in love, they didn't fall in love. I'd be at the nursing home carrying around a picture of Alexandria, which I don't have, rebuffing the advances of my fellow senior citizens because I was firmly committed to a dead person. But I was just one case study, and that thought was put to the test when I noticed Uncle Kyle's weekday planner laying on the counter. I took a curious glance and came upon this shocking text for Saturday. Date. Date. Uncle Kyle. Jude was in his 50s, was dating aloud. He had shown as much interest in romance as he did towards anything in life, which was very little. Yeah, I do find it less shocking that someone in his 50s would have a date, but rather that Uncle Kyle, as we've got to know him, would go on a date. I didn't think he had it in him to be interested in anything besides a cup of coffee. And who was the other person? I was suspicious they were real. I scooped up the planner, ran upstairs and tossed it into Uncle Kyle's room. It was absolutely necessary that Mom not see that. She had the subtlety of a rhino when it came to these matters. But this was a state of emergency, and immediate actions needed to be taken. I called up Scarlett. Hello, this is Scarlett Storm. Who's this? Hi, Detective Storm. This is Nick. We have an emergency on our hands.
Who the hell is Detective Storm?
You were in a past life of mine. Long story, I'll tell it to you later. But I need you to resurrect that persona because I need a detective to shadow a detective for a very important matter. Oh, Nick.
Whoa, Nick, slow down. 1. Excuse me, a past life? And secondly, what's going on?
I clicked my tongue irritably. You know my uncle, the detective?
Yeah, I've heard about him. What about him?
He's going on a date on Saturday.
So?
So?
I don't even know the guy. Why would I care?
It's a matter of grave importance, cosmic and scale really, and you're the only person I trust to assist me with this mission.
Are you sure that motorcycle crash didn't fuck with your head?
No, but that's besides the point. Let me sum up the situation. Old guy going on date. Big deal. Need to know what's going on. Observe date mission.
Are you shitting me, Nick?
No.
You're calling me to ask if I'll spy on your uncle with you.
Yes.
Because you think I was a detective in a past life.
Might have been a dream, but that's not important.
I could hear sounds of disbelief on the other end of the phone.
Listen, Detective Storm, I need your extreme competence to pull me through this situation. I'm dumb, you've said so yourself many times. You're smart, you've said so yourself many times. Someone needs to get to the bottom of this, like figuring out who this person Uncle Kyle is going on a date with, how it's going, and stuff like that. And you'll be leaving soon, so this may be the last opportunity.
Well, why didn't you just say you wanted to meet up before I left?
Let's not get carried away.
What a dumb excuse to see me.
Dumb? You don't know, Uncle Kyle. This is unforeseen and terrifying.
I've told you this before, but you really have gotten weirder since the accident.
I've been reborn.
I'll be honest, it's kind of a fun side of you. Crazy, but crazy is fun.
Say what you want. What about our mission?
She sighed. Okay, tell me the details.
Thank you, Detective Storm. I am indebted to you.
And would you stop calling me Detective Storm?
As soon as Uncle Kyle was out of the door, I called up Scarlett. It's go time. I'll call again once I've determined the rendezvous location.
God damn it, Nick. Would you talk like a normal person?
I grabbed a pair of binoculars, a face mask, and shades in case I needed to be incognito. I tried going out the door before my parents stopped me.
Why are you taking my binoculars?
Where are you going with my sunglasses? I'm on a mission. My parents looked at each other.
A mission that needs binoculars and your mother's sunglasses?
I'm going birding with Scarlett. She told me to look fashionable.
Honey, I don't think she meant my sunglasses.
Mom, your fashion sense is stunning. There's nothing to worry about.
I bought those at the dollar store.
Cheap as in these days. I gave my parents a thumbs up. Trust your son. I promise I will return with valuable intel.
About what?
About the future. My parents exchanged glances again, looking very confused.
Have fun, I guess.
Careful with those binoculars.
I will. You can trust me with this important outing. I then chased after Uncle Kyle.
Oh, Nick. Well, as long as he's having fun, that is an improvement to before.
It doesn't matter the age. Everyone in Alcantra does the same thing on dates, which is walk along the edge of the canal. I called up Scarlett on my bulky cell phone once I determined where Uncle Kyle was going. Meet me at the park on the canal. They're meeting there. I'll be hiding behind the slides. You're going to get arrested, you know that? True to my word, I took cover behind one of the giant red slides and observed Uncle Kyle through my binoculars while he waited at a table in the park. I glanced at my watch.
Uncle Kyle had arrived a little before 1:30, which was assumedly the meeting time. It was now 1:37. The other party was late. Shame on them. Scarlett arrived a couple of minutes later, looking irritated, but also moderately curious. I shushed her as she opened her mouth to presumably berate me and handed over the binoculars. He's the sad-looking guy in his 50s with salt and pepper hair, middle table. Scarlett looked through the binoculars. Jesus, does he know he's on a date? He looks miserable. The other party is late and he's a pessimist. Keep a careful eye on him, he might walk into the canal out of sorrow. Why are we acting like middle schoolers? Where is your whimsy? Has the corporate climb sucked all of the joy out of your life? A little bit, but I think that even a whimsied version of me would not stalk her uncle's date. Listen, Uncle Kyle hasn't talked to a woman who wasn't a criminal in more than 30 years. This has got to be a midlife crisis, or he's being tricked, and we're getting to the bottom of it. Scarlett shook her head and returned to the binoculars. Oh, here they come. Small lady, blonde hair, green blouse, expensive Chanel bag, confident gait. Early 40s, I'd guess. She's rich. Good job, Uncle Kyle. I forgive her for being late. You want to look? No, you keep the binoculars. I can sense you're good at reading body language. Probably better than you anyway. Okay, your uncle just blundered the greetings, looked at her feet the whole time. Zero eye contact. Better than looking at the chest, we'll take it. They're just talking now. Or she is at least. Your uncle isn't saying much, just nodding. That's probably a good thing. The less talking he does, the less likely he screws it up. Hopefully she likes the sound of her own voice. Yeah, I don't know. She's a hand talker, and her hands are moving less and less as this goes on. I think she's getting bored. Do you recognize her? Nope. She handed me the binoculars. Do you? I looked through them. I hadn't seen the lady in my life. Nope. Well, the Chanel bag means she probably lives on the canal by the other rich people. Can you read lips? Not too well, but I can see the conversation isn't going that well. Lots of awkward pausing and silence. After a couple more minutes, the pair got up. Scarlett motioned me to follow her. Okay, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. Follow my lead. I gave her a thumbs up. That was the detective storm I knew. Sure. We stealthily followed the two on their date. I've got her name. I managed to read your uncle's lips enough for that. It's Regina. We crept behind a tree while Uncle Kyle and this Regina walked slowly alongside the canal. Regina. And she's rich. Wait, that sounds familiar. I think I remember Uncle Kyle mentioning something a while back. Is your uncle seeing a suspect? His midlife crisis must be hitting him hard. Is the date still going poorly? Looks like it. She's avoiding eye contact now too. Usually that's a good sign with girls, but she just looks bored. Uncle Kyle has that effect on people. His eyes are so tired looking it makes you want to take a nap. Well, probably not a good feature for successful dates. Should we intervene? And what the hell would we do to intervene? Make romantic ambience? Create a crisis for Uncle Kyle to deal with? He's actually okay at that. How would we do either of those things? I don't know, you're the smart person. Scarlett looked up from the binoculars to glare at me. How nostalgic. I smiled back. I believe in the future CEO of GM. Keep trying to read their lips. She growled and resumed looking through the binoculars. Uncle Kyle and Regina sat down by the edge of the water, a sizable gap between the two of them. Even I could tell that Regina's body language was beginning to mimic Uncle Kyle's abysmal posture. Something needed to be done. I hate to break it to you, but he's bombing out there. He's even worse than you. Must be genetic. We have to figure something out. Maybe they're not right for each other. Nonsense, she's rich. We can't let him screw this up.
I screwed it up once already. The foxes can't blunder another chance for generational wealth. For someone so dedicated to his first love, you sure are shallow. I'm complicated like that. I've been finding out that emotions are tough. Too bad you couldn't figure that out 6 years ago. I'm a slow learner, and we're getting off track. We gotta right this ship. Unless you want to turn that sun into a moon to make things more romantic, then I don't know what we can do. What's in the area? Surely there's something we can work with. Just water, tables, grass, and people. Want to bribe someone to create a crisis for your uncle to deal with? Now we're onto something. We can use the people in the area. A light bulb went off. You wouldn't expect it, but Uncle Cal is great with kids. Scarlet scanned the area. Birthday party at 7 o'clock. Do you think Regina thinks guys who are good with kids is attractive? I'd guess so. She's definitely had one. How can you tell? It's an intuition thing. Don't question it. I'm not. I trust you. Scarlet handed me the binoculars. She looked kind of excited now. Leave it to me. I'll get the kids to bother your uncle and Regina. How? She pulled out her wallet. Fair enough. She headed towards the birthday party. Using the binoculars, I could see that she handed out multiple 20s. What an extravagant birthday party. She returned with a smirk and a bounce in her step. She took the binoculars back from me. I gave them some extra cash to get some info. Good call. Money solves everything. Most things, at least. She followed the kids heading towards the couple on their date with the binoculars. How's it going now? Much better. Regina even laughed. Your uncle is much more animated. I think he's much better at making jokes based on what the kids say. How many more 20s do you have? We can pay them to keep on wingmanning for Uncle Kyle. Scarlet frowned in disgust. You are welcome to pay too. Cut me some slack. I just quit my job. Also, paying children to help out a 50-year-old man's date is just pathetic. He's pathetic. He's pathetic. He needs all the help he can get. Find room in your heart for pity. You better watch it, Nick. You got it, Detective Storm. This time she smirked. She was getting into it. We watched the group build a sandcastle together, and the kids stayed for more than an hour. When Uncle Kyle and Regina got up to leave, Scarlet handed me the binoculars. Tail them. I'll find out what the kids learned. You got it. I followed Uncle Kyle and Regina as they headed towards downtown. I pumped my fist. Uncle Kyle had earned dinner. They headed into a pizza place. I waited outside the restaurant, and Scarlet joined me a couple of minutes later. They go in? Yep. You learn anything useful? Sure did. Couple of things, actually. First, Regina was a suspect in a case. Her husband died a couple of months ago. Ooh, this is getting spicy. Was he way older than her? He was indeed. He passed away at 90. So she probably didn't murder him. That's a little boring. Scarlet raised an eyebrow before continuing. Well, that's what your uncle probably determined anyway, given he's going on a date with her. Second thing I learned is that she has a daughter, who is a teenager. Damn, she married this girl when she was pretty young then. Looks like it. So we have a cougar who married an old coot for his money, waited for him to die, and now has the money. I think that's likely. Good job, Detective Storm. And now Uncle Kyle becomes the cougar. He's older than 50, Nick. Metaphorical cougar. That makes no sense. Life makes no sense. Anyways, let's go in. We have to see this through. Won't he recognize you? I put on the face mask, my mom's sunglasses, and threw on a baseball cap. Scarlet rolled her eyes. Good enough, I suppose. Let's try to get a table that's reasonably close, but not too close.
Sadly, the restaurant was pretty full and our table was on the other end of the restaurant from where my uncle and Regina were sitting.
Do you think it's too conspicuous to pull out binoculars at a restaurant?
Yes, you idiot. You can't pull out binoculars at a restaurant without drawing attention.
Pretend to go to the bathroom and walk by their table.
Good call.
Scarlett got up and walked very slowly by their table while she headed to the bathroom, and then did the same, returning to our table. How's it going?
Conversation is drying up. Your uncle just told the worst joke I've ever heard.
What was it?
A knock-knock joke.
Hold on, he's great at knock-knock jokes.
No one tells knock-knock jokes on dates that are going well.
What was the knock-knock joke?
Scarlett grimaced. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Dishes.
Dishes who?
She groaned. Dishes the police, open up.
I laughed, and Scarlett looked at me incredulously. That's a classic. It's funny because he's a detective, so he's kind of the police.
Nick, that's not funny.
You're soulless and without whimsy.
You really like that word today, huh? And for your information, Regina didn't laugh either.
Well, she's soulless and without whimsy too, but she can be forgiven because she's rich. So who do we bribe this time?
A waiter or a waitress. They're underpaid.
Good idea. And what should we have them do?
Scarlett leaned back and thought. How fast is your uncle's reaction time? Probably not that fast, given how tired he looks.
You'd think that, but he's actually got lightning-fast reflexes. He's more tired of life than physically tired, if you know what I mean. Why do you ask?
We need to have your uncle look impressive to get him through this dinner.
That'd be nice, sure.
So let's create an opportunity. We'll bribe one of the staff to trip by their table carrying an empty tray. Uncle Kyle will catch the empty tray before it falls. Then we'll have the staff ask where he got those reflexes, and Uncle Kyle will have an excuse to talk about himself. Hopefully that'll help carry the conversation.
That's so stupid. It might work. I like your thinking.
She nodded. Just need to hope that your uncle looks cool while doing it, and that we'll have enough to actually bribe someone to look silly. I pulled myself up to look more impressive, which was kind of hard to do while wearing my mom's sunglasses.
No worries there. I've only got $20 in cash, but I'll write a check. Money won't be an issue.
Scarlett scoffed. Thought you were jobless.
A man has to do what a man has to do.
I called over a waitress.
Hey, how much they paying you?
Scarlett facepalmed.
'Cause I've got a deal you can't miss out on. I'll give you $200 for your troubles.
Scarlett opened her mouth in shock and disgust. Witness the power of whimsy. This isn't illegal, is it?
Nope, just need you to trip by a table.
Trip? Why do you want me to do that?
I explained the situation. So make sure you're walking so that the guy can see you ahead of time so he can react. And when you're falling, try to fall so that the tray falls towards the lady.
Nick?
Uncle Kyle is gonna catch it, trust me.
I can do that, but I'm gonna need the money up front.
A check is okay, right?
A check is fine.
Perfect. After you fall, make sure to ask Uncle Kyle about himself. The lady already knows he's a detective, but we need to remind him that he's cool.
This sounds very stupid, but money's money. Where's the check?
I wrote out the check for her. Scarlett gave an exasperated sigh.
And if things go well, I'll give you a bonus. How much?
Scarlett checked her wallet. $83.
The waitress fist pumped. Leave it to me. I'm gonna fall spectacularly.
The waitress left to prepare for the upcoming operation. I think this is a dangerous plan all around. Like, not only if he doesn't catch it, but also that they're asking a waitress to do this. You know, because it could be seen as Kyle flirting with another lady. But okay, let's see. The waitress left to prepare for the upcoming operation. What brought that on? Scarlett slumped in her seat and laughed. The whimsy, I guess. A couple of minutes later, the waitress emerged from the kitchen with an empty tray. All right, here we go. I'm so nervous, I can hardly watch. He's gonna catch it for sure. You're shaking. Must be out of excitement. Both of us watched in nervous anticipation as the waitress approached Uncle Kyle and Regina's table. She then took a dive like she was on an Olympic springboard and tossed the tray theatrically into the air above Regina's head. I nearly clapped. It was a spectacular performance, and she threw the tray so high that Uncle Kyle was easily able to reach over the table and grab it before it hit Regina. That was beautiful. Scarlett nodded. A real ballerina. She earned the hell out of the bonus. I was too busy celebrating the afterglow of a successful operation that I forgot to watch Uncle Kyle and Regina. Thankfully, Scarlett was on top of it. She leaned in animatedly. He's turning it around. Looks like he's finally talking about the interesting stuff about himself, which is his job and not him. Hey, whatever works, as long as she divorces him after he gets a cut of the fortune. Scarlett glared at me. What? The whimsy, Nick. I'm just tempering my expectations about whimsy surviving their 50s. Scarlett shook her head. So sentimental and so pragmatic at the same time. A real tragic combination for anyone who has to deal with you. The waitress returned to us, grinning broadly. How was that? Marvelous. Pretty awesome. Scarlett emptied her wallet and handed it over. You more than earned it. Damn right I did. She stashed the cash away. And I needed that money. Remember to tip you all. Sure thing. Scarlett and I kept an eye on Uncle Kyle and Regina for another half hour. We should be in the clear. They ordered wine and dessert. Regina wouldn't do that if she wanted to leave. Should we stick around after the dinner to be sure? I laughed. Nah, we've done enough. Let's give them some privacy. Yeah, you're probably right. We've meddled enough. We should celebrate, though. Nothing too expensive, hopefully. That's what you get for trying to show off. But the dessert is on me. I was not trying to show off. I was making an investment. Some money now for Foxwealth later. You tell yourself that. We ordered some dessert while Scarlett kept an eye on the pair we were spying on. You think old people fall in love? Why, you think your uncle is going after Regina for her money? Probably not, but you never really hear about old people going on dates. And then there's people like me who probably aren't going to fall in love again. I imagine a lot of people just burn out on relationships as they get older. Your uncle is not that old, and also, of course older people fall in love. Remember what you've been talking about all day? Whimsy. But look at your sad corporate self and the noticeable lack of whimsy. Not all of us get to be hit by motorcycles to regain that youthful magic. Scarlett laughed. True, but not all of us are as dumb as you are. We can be reminded in less painful ways. You think? Of course. I was reminded of that today. I lowered my shades a hair to look at Scarlett quizzically. When we get older, I think we forget how to have fun. You know, have unreasonable ideas of what it means to be an adult. Might just be a busy thing. You're probably boring when you're in principal engineering mode. Just no time to be fun. Maybe, but I think part of it is just people being silly. Being old is supposed to entail certain things, you know? When friends meet up as adults, they go get coffee if the meetup is in the afternoon, and alcohol if the meetup is in the evening. Just totally uncreative about having fun with each other. I don't count myself among those. Oh, so you had fun today? Scarlett smiled. At the very least, I was whimsical. It was certainly an interesting day. I smiled back. Next time we're whimsical, we'll spend less money.
I'll be able to handle it, but maybe you should calm down.
Yeah, might be time to get a job.
Good, then I can accuse you of becoming a corporate shell of a man.
Our desserts were brought over, and Scarlett pointed her ice cream spoon at me.
So yes, old people can fall in love. They just need to remember that they're allowed to.
I nodded and looked over at Uncle Kyle and Regina. I raised my glass. May those two find their whimsy once again, and may Uncle Kyle bring great fortune to the Fox family so I don't have to get a job.
I think you may need a little less whimsy.
Too late for that. I came out of that motorcycle accident like, fuck it, we live.
That's as good a life motto as any.
True. I took the shades off and smiled at Scarlett. It sure is, Detective Storm.
Are you gonna explain that or what?
I'd be happy to. Let's hope you have enough whimsy for a good ghost story.
That was fun. I like that.
Oh boy. Yeah, fun to see him be actual friends with Scarlett and their dynamics. Like when it's not in his purgatory.
Yeah, okay. Then that was really it for now. Again, there might be, the devs might add bonus scenes later on. But for now, that is all for the Ghost of Alcantra. If you want to play the game, read the story for yourself, again, the links are in the description. This is available for free on Steam and itch. And the devs have said that they have plans for some other future games, but it's all in very early development stages. So if you want to keep up to date with that, you might want to follow them on Blue Sky. They have an account there called Ghost of Alcantra. So any updates will be there. But yeah, that's it from me for today and for this game for now. As always, I'd appreciate if you'd let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time with a different game. Bye bye.